What is a minor life hack you love to share? Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the Vancher channel. Also, please share your thoughts on this video in the comments. Let's get started. Story 1. Give a crying kid water. Most of the time they start crying for a reason, but continue crying because they can't snap out of it. Drinking the water forces them to take a breath, and the sensation of the water gets them to think about something else briefly enough to settle them. Answer. Haha, my friend's little brother would throw tantrums at the drop of the hat from around ages 3 to 6. His mom started shooting him with a little water pistol, much like one does to a cat, to get him to knock it off. I didn't believe him when he told me about it, but one morning after a sleepover, we were grocery shopping, and his brother grabbed something off the shelf and said, "Mom, can we get this?" And she says no, and he is just about to have a full nuclear meltdown. His mom pulls out the water pistol and points it at him, and he immediately knocked that shoot off. This was 25 years ago, and I still find it just as hysterical. If you'd like to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee. Link is in the description. I'll show the most interesting messages in my videos. Story 2. When microwaving bread, fries, etc., make sure to put a microwavable cup or coffee mug half full of water in the microwave with the food as well. Everything will come out nice and crispy as opposed to soggy and gross. Story 3. You can get a lot of free stuff from your local library, but my personal favorite is the free Museum Pass program. Answer. As a library worker, I 100% support this tip. Local public libraries are amazing and provide not just resources, but safety and free services. My library even has seeds for the public to take. We also have a personal hygiene bin. Take what you need, leave what you don't. Of new items for anyone who needs something. You can rent sewing machines, instruments, telescopes, hotspots, video games, movies and music, board games. Please visit your local library. Story 4. Use your microwave at 70 power for 1.5 longer time. Much better heat distribution for your food. Answer. This is a good one. To go with it, add a teaspoon or tablespoon of water to the plate to make up for the water that will be cooked out of the food or help steam it for a more even heat. This kind of depends on what you're warming up, obviously, but it helps a lot for the right foods. I also use one of the plastic microwave lid things, which helps retain some moisture. You can always flip a second plate upside down for a perfect microwave lid too. There can be a lot of nuance to your microwave cooking reheating game. Give it a try if you're not in a rush. Story 5. Teaching someone what you have just learned. You will retain the information better than any other method. Answer. Teaching someone what you have just learned. You will retain the information 90% better than any other method. This has worked for me, and I've used it in the workplace for those that have a hard time remembering a process. I'll both tell them and walk through the process with them. Take questions and everything. Then they get to teach someone else. Story 6. If you have a problem with wasps, this is the perfect time of year to make a fake nest. Crumble up a brown paper bag into a round shape and put in your window or on your balcony. Wasps are stupid as hell, but they are territorial and will think it's another wasp's nest, and they will tell their friends to avoid the area. Edit. It will not make an existing wasp colony move away. Just deter wasps who are looking for a new place to nest, which is why you should do it in the spring. Story 7. I keep a laundry basket in the trunk of my car, so when I get groceries, I can put the bags in the basket and mook the trip inside a lot less of a struggle. Haha. Story 8. There is a 24-hour rule on all airfare purchases in the U.S. that a purchased reservation can be canceled within 24 hours without penalty and with a full refund to the original form of payment. Story 9. Mix baking soda and water to form a paste. Apply to an area that has a splinter. This will usually pull that sucker right out. Story 10. If you mess up, just admit you messed up. If you forgot to do something at work, just say, "Yes, that was my fault. I'm sorry. I messed up." People are much more likely to forgive you if you own your shoot. Answer. This is awesome. I couldn't agree more. I would also add that admitting you messed up is the most important step of a multi-step process, which varies by job, workplace culture, etc. But this is the gist. 1. Admit you messed up. It makes the cleanup easier, and you will earn not only others' forgiveness, but respect. 2. Be an active participant in fixing whatever the problem is. This could be either discussing solutions or working on the solution, or both. Try not to ask your boss how to fix it without having at least one idea yourself. 3. Make it a lessons learned for yourself and others you work with. This step might depend on your workplace culture, etc. Story 11. Clean out the lint filter on your tumble dryer after every use. It takes seconds and could save your life. Story 12. At Christmas, when you have a real tree and it's hard to see the water level in the reservoir due to the lower branches, throw a ping pong ball in the water. Add water until the ping pong ball resurfaces. Also, store your lights around cardboard tubes, like wrapping paper or paper towel tubes. Make a 1-inch slit in either side to slide the cord end through. Not only do they stay neat and tidy in storage without getting tangled, but they're also easier to put on the tree, and you can roll them onto the tube while taking them off. And you can plug them into test and easily be able to spot a blown faulty bulb so you can replace it. Story 13. Get a furniture dolly. Get a step ladder. Get several pairs of scissors. Put one in each utility drawer or junk drawer in your home. For us, it's kitchen, living room, bathroom, bedroom. In general, if you're looking for a household tool and it's not where you first looked, once you do find it, when you're done using it, put it back where you first looked for it. Your brain has already decided that's where it should live. Next time, it'll be exactly where you expected it to be, without you even having to think about it. Story 14. Maybe this is a European thing, but anyway. Some hotel rooms have a slot where you're supposed to insert your key card to turn on the electricity in the room. Those slots are in no way part of the key card system and are just dumb switches that can be activated with any card that fits the slot. Good to know if you want to run the AC or charge your devices while being out of the room. Answer. I've never seen this in the States, but encountered this on a group trip to Wales where the hotel only gave us one key per room. My roommate wanted to go out and carouse into the wee hours of the morning while I was dead tired and wanted to go to bed early. So we folded a piece of notebook paper a bunch of times until it was thick enough to trick the dumb bastard. Story 15. Best hornet wasp ant killer I know is plain old dish soap mixed with water in a spray bottle. The ratio isn't that important. Just put a big squirt in there and shake it up. Doesn't stain. It's safe around pets, kids, and will instantly eliminate most bugs. Wasps literally fall out of the air dead as soon as the mist hits them. Bugs breathe through tiny pores in their exoskeleton, so tiny that water can't get in due to surface tension. Soap is a surfactant. It reduces surface tension, which means water now goes into those pores and drowns them. Story 16. In the dishwasher. Throw any citrus peel into the utensil rack and wash. The citric acid released inside your dishwasher will degunk clean it and make your dishes sparkly clean. To reduce the effort when cleaning your shower, go to the dollar store and buy those dish stick scrubbers where you can fill the handle with dish soap. I use a mix of diluted Dawn dish soap with water and I add a bit of vinegar. Keep that in the shower and scrub the walls floor when in the shower. Makes cleaning the fudge shower less effort, and you can actually extend the time between cleanings. Gets rid of soap scum and prevents mold from forming. Answer. More dishwasher stuff. Just buy the cheap store brand boxed powder. It washes just as well as those expensive tablets, and maybe even slightly better depending on the model of dishwasher. Also, check your manual to see how much you should be using. It depends on the hardness of your water. If you live in the USA, turn the faucet on for a moment until you feel hot water. The initial fill may not be hot enough otherwise. Technology Connections did a whole series on this, and there's a bunch more things to consider. Story 17. Working with a partner is not about compromising on every decision. Sometimes their idea needs to just win, and vice versa. Story 18. Something sprayed by a skunk? Mix 1 part hydrogen peroxide, 1 part Dawn dish soap, 12 part baking soda. Do not add water. Apply to the area, scrub all the way to the skin, smell. If you still smell skunk, keep applying and scrubbing. Repeat until you don't smell it anymore. Then rise off. Don't add tomatoes or stupid skunk off. You just make the basic skunk off product for much cheaper, or whatever wives' tale you heard. Skunk spray is oils. Adding water before you've broken it down will just spread it further into the skin and coat, making it much worse. I've deskunked my own dog at least 40 times with this method, and I used it to deskunk many dogs' cats in my grooming days. Do keep in mind, no matter what you do, when the animal gets wet for the next few months, you'll smell skunk that you have to tough out. Good luck. Answer. This is very solid advice. I would like to add that when it comes to deskunking a dog, adding soap directly to the affected area before adding this mixture can help pull the skunk's oils all the way from the skin with no residual odor. Adding moisture helps push the oil into the pores and hair follicles, which is why you will still smell the skunk when the dog gets wet for months until they have gone through several skin and shedding cycles. Adding straight undiluted Dawn or any strong, animal-friendly degreaser Goop hand cleaner is incredible for this too, and they make one specifically for animals. And rubbing it into the skin before adding the mixture you suggested with hydrogen peroxide or anything else will lift the oils into the soap degreaser rather than down further into the skin. This can eliminate or reduce the residual odor significantly. Time is always of the essence. The faster you can apply the treatment after the spray, the better the odds are of lifting that stubborn jerk oil. Literally. This method has made me lots of money grooming during skunk season. Story 19. Don't zigzag looking for parking on the first floor of a parking garage. It usually only takes a few moments to go up a few floors, and you can often park right next to the destination. Because stairs elevator effectively flatten the garage, a spot right by the elevator stairs on the third floor is actually closer than a spot on the first floor some distance away. It's also often easier to find your car on a lightly filled floor. Story 20. Learning when to keep your mouth shut is as important as when to speak up. Just ask yourself, is it going to help? If the answer is no, it's probably better to keep quiet. Story 21. My grandpa always told me, don't put people down because they like something you don't. Befriending them and learning of their opinions will always make you the wiser. Story 22. Learn to sincerely apologize when you're wrong. It will preserve your marriage and most any relationship. Story 23. I love to share this with every coffee drinker out there. All of the jobs I've had have really bad bitter coffee. To make it less bitter, the tiniest pinch of salt makes a bad cup of coffee seem like the world's best. It's also really good in chocolate milk. Highly recommend anyone who hasn't tried this to give it one shot. Story 24. Be kind. People remember kindness and assholery. Be direct and very honest, and ask for exactly what you need, be that emotionally, at work, in relationships. It makes life way easier, and you know exactly where you stand at the end. Frozen veggies and a microwave rice steamer can get me a big, full, healthy meal in under 15 minutes. Story 25. Help your tomorrow self. Put water in the coffee pot or prepare it so you just have to hit start. Lay out your outfit, etc. the night before. Morning are hard, and the more you've prepared the small things, the easier it is. Story 26. Spend good money on quality, on what separates you from the elements or from the ground, i.e. good quality bed, pillows, etc. Good warm winter and rain protective clothing. Good car winter tires. All of these will either drastically improve your day-to-day or save your life or others. Story 27. Buy a block of cheese and grate it yourself if you want delicious, gooey melted cheese. They put potato starch on the pre-shredded cheese to keep it from coagulating in the bag, which also makes it harder to melt together on nachos, quesadillas, pizzas, etc. Story 28. For brand new parents, it's okay to nurse your baby to sleep. You might hear from the internet that you cannot nurse them to sleep, or they will have lifelong problems or whatever. This is a lie. If your pediatrician says something, generally believe them. When they're like 6 months, you can teach them to fall asleep without it. For now, take whatever help you can get to get that sucker to fall asleep and stay asleep. Breast milk has melatonin in it. When you have a newborn, they don't make their own melatonin for the first few months. Literally, the only way they feel sleepy, not tired, which is when they've been awake too long, is from drinking breast milk. IRC melatonin production comes online around month 4, and circadian rhythms are sufficiently developed by month 6 that they have fairly well-ordered sleep. If you're feeding them formula, great. Good on you for feeding your baby in your chosen way. This is super hard, and there are lots of ways to do it right. Story 29. When I go to McDonald's and want some chicken nuggets, I don't order the 10-piece value meal. I order 2 6-piece nuggets, medium fries, and a drink. The value meal is like $9.59 after tax, but ordering it separately, it ends up being like $8.75. So you get 2 extra nuggets, and you save almost $1 while doing so. This is true at my local McDonald's, but I can't verify that it works at 100 of McDonald's restaurants. Story 30. In a loud setting, i.e. a concert, the best way to clearly hear someone you're talking to is to push in the flappy fold thing on your ear and have them speak to you in a normal volume. You should be able to hear what they're saying very clearly over the muffled background noise. It's like magic. Story 31. When you go into a public bathroom, choose the stall closest to the door if possible. If not, get a middle one. People instinctively go for the far one from the door, thinking it's more private. As a result, it gets more use and gets dirtier. People are less likely to use the ones near the door because they feel it's less private. As a result, those stalls are often the cleanest and best stocked. This seems to be true about 95% of the time in my experience. Story 32. When you are on the phone with a company, always write down the name of the people you speak to and the date and time. We always assume they will do what is agreed to, but too often we have to call back and refer to the first call. Story 33. After making microwave popcorn, barely open the top of the bag just big enough for unpopped kernels to fit. Turn upside down and shake over waste bin. The kernels will fall out, but the popped ones will stay in the bag. Story 34. On your ceiling fan is a little switch that will change which way the blades turn. This can drastically change the airflow and help maintain temp in your room. Story 35. Fold the edge of the tape over on itself to create a little flap to prevent you from having to scratch-rip it next time you need to use it. Story 36. If you have dogs, especially multiple, use the heavy-duty kibble bags to pick up dog poop in the yard. Normal poop bag on one hand for picking up and put into big bag. Story 37. When you have something new and are trying to decide where to keep it, put it in the first place you think of. It will be the first place you think of when you're looking for it. Story 38. If the piece of eggshell falls into the egg, the easiest way to pull it out is with the same eggshell. Story 39. If you're free from responsibility in personal life, family, meeting others on holidays, etc., instead of taking chunks of days off for vacation from work, take those same days and use it every Wednesday for however long it lasts. Instead of one nice week that'd probably go too fast anyway, you could be having about 35 days where you never have to work more than 2 days in a row. If your job is liable to bury you in work for a missed week, this won't happen either. This also applies to college scheduling. I would take one long Monday evening class, pack Tuesday with classes, have Wednesday off, pack Thursday, and take a Friday morning class. You now have nearing 100 hours between getting out on Friday and your Monday class. Then you have one busy day and you're back to a day off to do whatever needs to be done or enjoy it as you can. Then another busy day, one more class out of the way early leading to the huge weekend. Answer. You'd be surprised at how many bosses dislike this take a day off per week strategy. And not in a clickbait way, but legit see it as more disruptive than a bunch of 4-day weekends or 2-week-long vacations or whatever. That said, the one place I worked that didn't mind, it was so refreshing. 40-hour weeks suck. I'd work 30-32 even with the pay cut if they'd let me. Story 40. I don't know if this is a life hack, but if you like Audible, get a cheap Bluetooth shower speaker. You'll gain a couple hours of listening a week just showering. I received one as a cheap gift, and it has honestly turned into a gift that I've probably used the most out of any gifts I've received. And it's something I would have never probably bought for myself or thought to buy for myself. Answer. Bigger hack. If you like Audible, cancel it and download Libby instead. Libby works with your local library so you can borrow audiobooks and ebooks for free. Amazon is actively lobbying to make it harder for libraries to get multiple copies of digital books to make hold times get longer, so people get impatient and go to Audible for an instant book. I keep my hold list full, and I've never had a time where I didn't have a book downloaded. I may need to wait a week or two to borrow a popular book, but I have plenty to read in the meantime. Story 41. Name your emotions. Spend some time finding what you are feeling at the moment. It usually helps to settle the emotion down just enough to take actions. Story 42. Less of a life hack and more practical advice to save yourself a headache here in the USA. Get a secured credit card. Put enough credit on it that you can cover your utilities. Set auto payments on those, and they'll be paid from the card. Then you pay the card, and just like that, little by little, you start building your credit score more and more. Story 43. Not everybody who complains wants help. Sometimes they just want someone to listen. This'll save some stress and heartache. Story 44. If you hold your left thumb in your left fist, like make a fist around your thumb and hold it, it helps minimize your gag reflex. I learned it from my old boyfriend who was a dentist with a massive male body part. Story 45. Charisma is a skill you can learn like any other, and it really pays dividends to pick it up. Your life will be so much easier if you are likable and good at talking to people in day-to-day conversations. Story 46. Cook bacon in the oven. Put it in while preheating, and more of the fat renders for super crispy bacon, ready in 20 minutes. Story 47. Before going to bed, pick out your clothes, pack your lunch, prep your meds, fill the coffee maker. This greatly reduces the time you need to get ready in the morning, and you can hit that snooze button one extra time. Story 48. Put your sugar sweetener and creamer in your cup before you pour your coffee, and you won't have to use anything to stir it afterwards. No extra dirty spoons. Story 49. Arrow on the gas gauge points to the side the gas tank is on. Rub a produce bag between your palms to open it instead of licking your fingers. Smile before answering the phone. You will sound nicer. Skip stones with the forward edge up at a 20-degree angle, not flat. Dry noodles don't need as much water as you think and don't need to boil to cook. Your local library may have a lot of free resources that aren't print books. Telescopes, 3D printers, Ancestry.com accounts, craft kits, ebooks. Diffuse a difficult situations with a heart-head heat. Start with a blameless apology. Heart. Speak logically about the facts of the situation. Head. Show them you care by saying how you will work to make things right. Heart. Les Schwab will repair a flat tire for free. Story 50. If your bath or beach towel has a fuzzy side and a smoother side, it's made to wick away water from the smoother sides to the fuzzy side. Use the fuzzy side first to dry yourself, and the smoother side should be practically dry for round 2. Also, you're an adult. You may use 2 towels, one for the head and upper body, the other for your lower body. It cuts drying time in half. Answer. Try the squeegee method. Learn from an Ask Reddit for ex-convicts. They get thin, small towels. It gets rid of like 70 of the water from your body, so your towel becomes damp instead of wet. Make the karate chop hand and start at the top of your body and work down, contouring the karate hand around your curves and push the water away. Do it standing in the shower if at home. Ever try looking for a dry corner on your bath towel? I don't anymore. Thanks, ex-con. Story 51. If you have to give a cat liquid viscous medicine and they aren't cooperating, just get it on their nose face. They'll lick it off on their own. If your cat is going somewhere unfamiliar, put butter on their paws when they get out of their crate. Don't know why, but it chills them out. I realize now too many of my life hacks are really just cat hacks. Story 52. When you're standing around with a drink in one hand, tuck your pinky underneath the cup or can. That way, it won't fall out if you lose concentration and/or sobriety and loosen your grip. Story 53. Surprisingly, not a lot of people know about this, but if you copy text, for example, we will say a citation, and you use Control-Shift-V onto a Google document, the citation will stay in the same text format as the rest of your document, just so you don't have to go back and change the font size and stuff like that. Story 54. When you make toast, slap a dollop of butter on each slice. Then put the butter away and clean up crumbs and do whatever else you would normally do afterwards. By the time you're done, butter is melted slightly and easier to spread, and all thanks to a minor rearrangement of the routine. Story 55. After a shower, use your hands to squeegee most the water off your body so your towel doesn't get as wet. Answer. On this note, hang up your towels. Do not, I repeat, do not leave them lying on the bed or in piles on the floor between uses. Even if they are dry by the next time you use them, they'll have had 20 hours of wet time for microbial life to grow on them. Back in college, I nearly dumped my girl because she smelled like mildew all the time when I'd get up close to her. I thought she was maybe just a moldy person. Track down the source of the smell after the first time I showered at her place. Fix the problem immediately once we implemented better towel discipline. Story 56. The top cord holder on your vacuum turns down to easily release the cord. Took me 20 years of vacuuming to find this. Story 57. Want to instantly make a space look better? 1. Make the furniture look nice. Make the bed, fold the blankets, position the pillows, remove any clutter, etc. 2. Open up the window and allow natural sunlight to enter the room. The immediate difference is astounding. Story 58. If you're writing notes by hand, use colored pens. It's easier to organize, looks pretty, and, I find at least, you remember the contents better. Story 59. I'm in Arizona, so put big, capacious items, garbage bags full of packing peanuts, empty cooler, etc., in your car's back seats to make the air conditioning run quicker and more efficiently. Less air to cool. Story 60. When you're filling up your vehicle with gas, the nozzles rotate so that you can twist the spout upward as you pull it out. This way, you do not dribble gasoline on your vehicle. Story 61. Take dual enrollment courses in high school. NOD AP. Dual enrollment means you get college credit if you pass the class. With AP, if you fail the end exam, even if you have an A average, you don't get that credit. Edit. As people have said below, do your research as well. Sometimes credits won't transfer. Generally, I still stand by my comment because dual enrollment courses are much cheaper than an actual college course. Yes, AP does raise your class standing, but in my experience, you will not get scholarships unless you are extremely high ranked. Story 62. Start your Halloween pumpkin by opening up the bottom. not the top. Cut your big hole in the bottom, then scoop guts and carve as usual. Make a little chimney hole on top if you think you need to. When it's time to light it up, put down a candle on a bit of tin foil. Light candle, place pumpkin over candle. So much easier than placing and lighting a candle from above. Story 63. Wrap your shoelace twice around the loop instead of only once. Your shoes will rarely become untied, yet still be just as easy to untie. Story 64. Run your onion under cold water while peeling the outer layer. Then when you slice or dice it, you won't shed a tear. Story 65. There are literally dozens of high-level classes on technical subjects available for free, or, on lots of cases, almost free, online. You can change your life for almost no investment but time if you're feeling directionless. Start with Harvard's Intro to Computer Science class and go from there. Story 66. Using Amazon Smile allows you to use Amazon as normal, except one of all your purchases goes to a charity of your choice. It costs exactly the same whether you use Amazon or Amazon Smile. Story 67. If you tell someone you have to make a phone call and pull out a banana, you have a guaranteed 5-second cooldown on their response processor. Story 68. If you ever feel a pressure change in your ear, fake yawn. The pressure clears up and you'll be back to normal. Story 69. If you get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and plan to turn the bathroom light on, keep one eye closed the whole time, and then that eye will still be adjusted to the dark so you can see when you go back to bed. Story 70. Throw things away. Even if you think you might need it someday down the road, it will free up so much clutter, and you will feel better about getting rid of things. Story 71. If you get stuck in a current, do not panic. Do not fight the forces that the water is flowing you in. The trick is to remain calm and float with your face above water and treat the current like a roller coaster. Once you're out far enough, it is then safe to swim parallel of the shore. Story 72. There's a trick that I use for getting rid of hiccups, in which I drink something like a soda or flat drink, hold my breath, and then lightly hit my chest closed palm at the center of my rib cage 10 times in a row. The hiccups disappear immediately. Story 73. Dip biscuit only for 3 seconds in hot coffee. Less or more, it won't be perfect. I swear, when I was young, there was this documentary on TV. Story 74. Carry a small bag of Fritos when you go camping, hiking that aren't fit to be called food, but you can start a fire with them, even when everything is wet around you. The oil wicks out of them like an old-style oil lamp. Story 75. I live where it snows often, and I am one that usually gets my car stuck. You can use your floor mats under your front tires to help you out of the spot you are stuck in. Story 76. Car stuck in a snowbank? Try this. After you've moved enough snow, straighten your wheels before you move your vehicle. It's my go-to bit of advice when I pull over to help someone who's gotten themselves stuck. Most of the time, this little hack resolves the problem immediately. Story 77. Greek yogurt is great for many sauces, and it's a good substitute for sour cream as well. Just add a little bit of lemon and a tiny bit of salt. It's a tad healthier, and it has protein. Story 78. When you sit something down, keys, phone, remote, etc., tell yourself out loud, I put my XYZ on in the XYZ. You'll hardly ever misplace things. It's like an audio recording for your computer brain. Story 79. When you get a case of pop or beer, open every flap on one side and set it in the fridge. Then, rotate it 180 degrees and open the flaps on the opposite side. Put your hand on all the cans and push. They'll all slide out in a near-perfect order. Shoot takes like 10 seconds. Way better than manually unloading the cans. Story 80. Look up about being assertive. Go and do personal development, group therapy more or less. Both are life changers, in positive. Story 81. Life hack. Cut toxic people out of your life like the cancer they are. It doesn't matter that they're family. Cut them out. Story 82. Hand sanitizer is really handy for removing adhesive residue if you don't have Goo Gone on hand. And really, who does? If you're a shy pooper and have to use a public stall, wearing earplugs does a lot to help you feel alone. Story 83. Popping a tea towel in the bottom of the veggie drawer to draw away the moisture from the veggies and make them last longer. Story 84. How to give a pill to a dog that's food, motivated, but always spits the pill out. Wrap pill in whatever treat you use, and then make a couple identical treat balls. In very quick succession, toss treat, treat, pill inside treat, treat. Most dogs will just swallow it really fast in order to catch the next treat. They'll switch up the order so they don't catch on to a pattern. Story 85. If you're making crunchy tacos, always put the lettuce first. It will protect the bottom of the taco shell from the meat juice salsa that usually makes it split in half and collapse 2 bites in. Story 86. I just figured out a new one a few days ago. Space heater, kettlebell, warm. My PC is in my living room corner near my workout equipment. Can be a cold spot in the house, so I have a little space heater. It's also annoying though, and can make it too hot. Now, I use it to heat up a kettlebell before I sit down. I shut off whenever, and keep my feet on around the kettlebell that stays warm for like an hour. Story 87. If you're not worried about calories, fry your bacon and use the grease to cook your scrambled eggs. Not only does it improve the taste, but it makes them extremely fluffy. Story 88. Whenever you have a minor decision you don't care that much about that you can't make up your mind about, flip a coin. If you are happy with the decision, you've made up your mind. If you're unhappy with the decision, you've made up your mind. If you still don't care, just go with the coin, why not? Story 89. Buy an extension cord when you move out. Literally endless things it helps with. Can sit rolled up until those things arise as well. Story 90. While walking up to any public door and you're unsure about which side to push or pull, just look up at the hinge placement. Story 91. Ever have burnt food stuck onto a frying pan? Grab a dryer sheet, put it in the pan, add hot water, and let soak for 3 to 5 minutes. Grab the dryer sheet and put it on whatever you're scrubbing with. Sponge, brush, stuff like that. Scrub the burnt on food and it should come right off. For some reason, the dry soap in the dryer sheet is awesome for getting off burnt food. I find this especially helpful after making burgers. Story 92. When you really struggle with your body image, shower in the dark with just the phone light on. If you put on music as well, you can sell it to yourself as a relaxing environment. You'll feel better when you have showered, and the body image thing won't get greasy hair on top of it. Of course, that's not a permanent solution, but sometimes you have to start somewhere. Seek help for your issues if you can, but if you can't, make your own rules. Make it work. You're the boss. If your life and sometimes all that matters is just getting through that day. Story 93. Have trouble getting out of bed in the morning? Here is my life hack. When your alarm goes off, turn over and immediately turn it off. Then swing your legs over the edge of the bed and stand up. Take a quick stretch if you need to, then get on with the morning poop and teeth brushing. The key is to do it so fast that your brain does not have time to fudge around with all that, "Oh, these blankets are so warm. Shit, I don't want to go to work today." Nonsense. Story 94. Wet shaving with a brush and a double-edged razor. Eat well, sleep well, exercise, and value and make relationships. Story 95. I keep an emergency pencil tin in my purse. It is skinny so it doesn't take up much room, and in it I keep whatever I have been often asked for or needed myself in little emergencies. A few of the contents, a few quarters, a 10 bill for emergency gas. This saved my forgetful butt twice. Hairband, tampon, stick of gum, safety pin, pen, pencil, cough drops, eye drops, X200B. Of course, you curate it according to what you most often find yourself needing. Story 96. When you think you're out of laundry detergent, put some water in the empty bottle and shake it. Pour the contents into the clothes washer. I guarantee you will have enough detergent in that water for one more load. Story 97. If you've been drinking but want to avoid the hangover, drink as much water as you can keep down before you go to bed. Simple yet surprisingly effective. Story 98. One for the lads to make life better for the ladies. After intimacy, wash your junk with cold water for a quicker recovery time. Story 99. If you lay a strip of TP across the surface of the toilet water before pooping, it'll prevent splashback and even gift wrap your dookie. Story 100. Honestly, I bought a tube of kids' toothpaste in a fruit flavor a while back because I was getting tired of mint only. Game changer. If I go out and happen to grab a bite to eat, no more mint making everything taste odd. I prefer to use the fruit-flavored one in the morning and my mint whitening toothpaste at night. And the kids' toothpaste seem to have same amount of fluoride, 0.22, as a regular adult's tube of Crest. Story 101. When you are starting in a new job, if you don't know something, ask. I know it seems obvious, but you are not expected to immediately know how to do everything. If you are left to do something and you don't know what to do, just go ask someone. They are accountable while training you, so it's better to ask too many questions than not enough. Also, if they refuse to answer questions or show you how to do anything, take it to the manager. Story 102. If you want to buy something but aren't sure if it's just a mood or if you really need it, think about it for 7 days. Normally, you will forget about it after like 3 to 4 days. If you still can't stop thinking about it after 7 days, it's safe to say that it's not out of a mood. Saves money all the time. Story 103. Put 3 to 5 bags in the bottom of your kitchen trash cans. Stupid, I know, but efficient and very minor. Story 104. You hear it all the time, but seriously, do not give a singular fudge what people think of you. Once you learn to stay true to yourself, it really is life-changing. Story 105. If you feel a sneeze coming on, look toward the sun or a light above you to get it out. Told my boss this when he felt one coming and it worked. So naturally, I felt like an oracle of the gods. Story 106. You ever have a stainless steel pan and you find that food sticks? Here's a trick. Before cooking, lightly oil the entire surface of the pan. Then heat it up until it's nice and hot. Then take it off the heat and let it cool down. There, you've just seasoned the pan. Now cook whatever on it, like eggs, vegetables, with a bit more oil and you'll find it won't stick. Story 107. If you accidentally make soup too salty, add a raw potato. It will soak up the salt, then just take it out when you're done. Story 108. Get outdoors as much as possible and as rural as possible. Spend time in the wilderness and take it all in, day and night. If you have never seen a night sky without light pollution, it may change your life. Story 109. I haven't done this in a while, but I used to go to any post office, buy a 0.57 cent stamp, and get 50 cash back at no extra charge. Cheaper than ATM fees. Story 110. Maintain your friendships. Call people. Write to them. There are few things more important or life-affirming. Humans are pack animals. Feed yourself that connection. Plus, it's almost a certainty that you'll need help with something at some point in your life. And having someone to call, or being the person getting called, is what life's all about. Story 111. If your friend is depressed and you don't know what to say nothing. Just being there is enough. Just calmly sit together for 10 minutes, or whatever time you have available. I have worked in mental health for decades, and this is the best thing I learned. Story 112. If you take something out of the microwave that's really hot and burn your fingertips, grab your earlobes. It's magic. Story 113. Recent one I learned. Store your avocados in a Tupperware container filled with water in the fridge. They will last as long as you need. Story 114. Milk of magnesia makes great deodorant. Look it up. Buy some empty deodorant rollers from Amazon and buy unflavored milk of magnesia from CVS or Walgreens. You can keep refilling the rollers and you don't have to smell like Axe Barbarian's Sweat Lodge TM all the time. Story 115. If your child throws tantrums, change your tactics. Give them a choice in the matter. Don't ask, what do you want to eat? Ask if they would like A or B. Then praise their choice as a good choice. Don't tell your child to get dressed for school or whatever. Ask them if they want to wear A or B. Then praise their choice. Don't tell them it's time to leave. Give them a choice. Do you want to leave in 2 minutes or in 4 minutes? Then praise their choice. Giving just a little autonomy can cancel the tantrum. This works great with husbands and bosses as well. Do you want Applebee's or O'Charlie's for dinner? You don't care. You just don't want to cook. Do you think we should do plan A or plan B, Mr. Boss? Great. I was thinking that would be best. Just needed a big brain to confirm it. Works like a charm. Story 116. If you have a hard, sore cuticle and the skin is red, put your finger in warm water with some antiseptic, like Dettol, and leave for 10 minutes. Works like a charm. If you struggle to regulate your breathing while exercising, put the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth while exercising. Story 117. Wash your bathtub shower whilst you're showering, e.g. waiting for the conditioner to work. I personally love to use one of those dishwashing scrubbers that can be filled up with detergent and have a sponge at the end. Story 118. If you have general anxiety about day-to-day things that aren't harmful, like phone calls or social situations, don't avoid those things. It only makes the anxiety worse. You can ultimately teach your brain that those things won't hurt you, and you'll get better. Story 119. If it takes less than 5 minutes, do it. Clean dishes as you cook, and wash plates, bowls when you're done. Change loads as you walk by the washer and dryer. Make things easier. Wash dishes sitting down. Fold laundry on the floor. even while watching TV. Put dog food into a big container instead of the bag, and put the container near their food. If you take medication, put it next to your coffee machine so you'll remember. I stick mine in my Egos box. Just small things. I get so much more done in a day without even thinking about it anymore. Story 120. Can't find something in your price range? Find something similar with a different title. Example, I wanted a platform for my hamster, didn't want to spend 20 on elevated cheap wood. Solution, found a wall mount, worked great, only cost me 3. Story 121. When preparing to grill meat, cover your serving plate with aluminum foil. Season the foil so it seasons the bottom of your meat, then season the top. After grilling, remove the foil and discard. You've got a clean serving plate and less dishes. Story 122. If you're anything like me, your room is probably a pigsty right now. The best tip I have for cleaning is to watch a YouTube video of someone else cleaning their room. It makes the process go by so much faster, and it feels like you have someone there helping you. Story 123. When you fully open a water tap or any screw lock thing, always back off a quarter turn so you don't lock it open. If you have to shut it down quickly, you will always figure out the right way, even if you are in panic. Story 124. You can lift your stovetop and clean under it. Once it's clean, put down heavy-duty aluminum foil. Make sure you leave the vent from the oven uncovered. When it's time to clean again, toss the aluminum foil and put a new layer down. Story 125. Don't put it down, put it away. When bathing in a hotel bathroom, hang your body poof scrubby thingy by the curtain loops. If you've got big boobs, put a scrunchie on your seatbelt to adjust it so the shoulder strap can go across your chest and not cut into your neck. Story 126. I don't know if it counts as a life hack, but I love to share it because I think more people should know about it. The button to raise the aisle armrest on most planes is located toward the back of the armrest assembly, toward where your elbow would be, but on the bottom side. Raising the aisle armrests out of the way improves the deplaning process for everyone. I have been on planes where that button isn't there, but I think the mechanism to lift the armrest still is, so someone else can chime in on what method will work in that situation. Story 127. I use a shop vac to clean out the dryer vents and ducts. Even if you don't have a shop vac, buying one is a lot cheaper than calling a dryer vent cleaning man. Story 128. Put your hot dog condiments under the hot dog. They won't get on your lips. If you add cream sugarettes, stir your coffee with a fork. More agitation, less spillage. Story 129. Always make a connection with gatekeepers, security, people at the front desk, executive assistants, etc. Never know when it might come in handy to know and be known. Also, more often than not, there are things you can do to make their lives easier too. Story 130. By having an active job, you can eliminate the need for exercise as its own activity. By pushing freight all night long, I get more than sufficient exercise. Rather than paying for a gym membership, my employer pays me to exercise 40 hours a week. Story 131. Before you go to bed, spend just a few minutes giving thanks for all the good in your life, no matter how small. Story 132. Not exactly minor, but almost everything in life is a skill you can learn with effort and practice. If you take things that bother you about yourself or cause you grief and decouple them mentally from your personality or sense of self-worth, you can break them down into mini skills and practice on improving them. How to deal with confrontations without anxiety, set boundaries, negotiate to a mutually fair outcome, small talk, discipline, etc. are good starting points that you might nor have thought of as skills that you can practice on, and instead might have burdened them upon your self-worth as inherent weaknesses or fault of personality. Just a simple shift in perspective of thinking about everything as a learnable skill can do you wonders. Story 133. My parenting tips that will probably make every advice you ever read recoil in horror, but worked for me. 1. Nighttime feeds are a load of crap. For real. Why would you waste that valuable quiet time by poking a sleeping child awake for a every 4-hour myth? My child got into a sleep pattern early and with no fuss, and I am convinced it's because we never woke her up during the night. Babies do not starve to passing overnight. If they're that hungry, they'll wake up naturally and let you know. Otherwise, leave them alone. Let them sleep. X200B. 2. Potty training. We skipped potties and went straight to what you really want, which is toilet training. We got a child-sized seat to put over so they don't fall in, and taught her that's where you go. Even though she was too young to climb, I didn't mind going with her and lifting her on holding her while she went. Everyone I know who taught their child potty first has had major problems going from potty to toilet. Several got scared, cause suddenly there was a splashing noise instead of a soft plastic thud. Lots have accidents where they drop the potty on the way to empty it. Nearly all of them just refused to go to another room because they were used to pooping in front of the TV, dollhouse, whatever. And one was taught praise for going potty, so lifted the potty and showed all the adults what they had done, so we could be proud of them. Ain't nobody got time for that. Take them to the toilet, even if you have to hold them so they don't fall in. It's easier in the long run. Story 134. If your clothes get stained, put some dish soap on the stain into the washing machine. It works because the soap molecules have both hydrophobic and hydrophilic edges, which are useful for both absorbing the stain and washing it off. Story 135. Put a key ring into your zipper and hook it through the button of your pants to keep your zipper from falling down. Story 136. If you're using an electric razor, putting an old towel over the counter will save you some beard hair cleanup. Just pick the towel up and shake it off outside, or into the shower if the individual hairs aren't too long. Are you eating fast food because you like it or because it's convenient? If convenience is what you're after, you can get freezer food at Walmart for far cheaper. A $10 bag of frozen chicken nuggets will go a lot farther for a lot cheaper, and cooking then is simple enough. Potatoes are similar. Just slide a couple in the oven and bake, then salt and butter to taste for a cheaper dinner than a run through McDonald's. Totino's frozen pizza will also take the edge off pizza cravings at a low cost. Answer: just slide a couple in the oven and bake, then salt and butter to taste for a cheaper dinner than a run through McDonald's. That's far less convenient than picking up food at a drive-thru. Preheat the oven. Get out the food, get out the pan, place food on pan, wait for oven to finish preheat, place pan in oven, wait 15 to 20 minutes for food to cook, take food out, season it, plate it, wash the pan, then eat. Or get a bag of cooked food handed to you while on the way home. If you don't finish it in the car, eat over the bag, throw everything away when you're done. Story 137. 1 capful of hydrogen peroxide mixed with a capful of water. Gargle it and removes those skanky tonsil stones. Do not swallow. Story 138. Limit the number of places you out certain items. In your room, your phone goes in spot A or B. In the kitchen, it's in spot A. Your keys are in your bag or in X spot by the door. It makes finding things so much easier. Story 139. If you can't sleep at night due to the noise in your house, then put on airplane white noise and visualize that you're on an airplane while sleeping. For the longest, I would stay up full nights not getting any sleep until I came across this method. It's honestly life-changing. Story 140. Use the brush extension on the vacuum to dust before you spray wipe. Works wonders if you have pets and the hair is everywhere. Also works extremely well for dusting blinds. Story 141. To conserve water and hot water heating cost, get all wet in the shower, turn off the water, soap and shampoo up for as long as you want. Turn the water back on and do a quick rinse. Story 142. If you drop a small part like a screw, don't try to catch it. Just watch it until it stops and get it then. Story 143. If your bed is up against a wall, but there's still a couple inches between the mattress and the wall, shove a large pool noodle in that space to prevent remote controls, game controllers, phones, etc. from falling between your bed and wall. Story 144. If you put deodorant on before your shirt fold, the bottom of your shirt slightly inside out, then put it on. This way, if you do get DO in your shirt, it's on the inside, not the outside. If you're trying not to strip a bolt or nut when putting it on, apply pressure to it, spin it the wrong way until you hear or feel it click, then tighten it from there. Story 145. I started sitting cross-legged and then half lotus and lotus while playing games. Now I have flexible hips. Story 146. Really want to end a boring phone call without being rude? Mute and unmute to give the illusion of cutting out and disconnect. Story 147. Use water to open the plastic bags at grocery stores in the produce department. Just get a drop from the water sprinklers at the vegetable shelves to wet your fingers. It makes opening the bags so easy. So many people try to force them open by ruffling or trying to pick apart the layers. Story 148. Turn any Band-Aid into a butterfly Band-Aid by cutting the flaps down the middle. Makes it way easier to secure them to fingers and joint. Story 149. If you're having acid reflux but not stomach problems, suck on a Tums instead of chewing and swallowing it. Story 150. If you are having a panic attack or need to calm down, put your head on something cold or open a freezer and let the cold air blow onto your face. This slows heart rate instantly. I believe it's called the diver's effect, but I can't be sure. It was a while ago I learned this. Story 151. Libraries often have really cool online resources like language learning, CLEPs, online books for kids. All they have to do is pick one and swipe. It reads to them. Libby, Overdrive, etc. They also have movies, magazines, and audiobooks. My library has something called playaways, where you just pick one by title and then plug in headphones to listen to. Mine also has tablets with learning apps books preloaded for kids. We also have computers where kids can learn through games. Story times are amazing, and so are the summer reading programs, where you get prizes based on how much time you spend reading. Story 152. If you're on hold and hearing the "your call is very important to us" obvious BS, start swearing. Many of the software systems recognize that as an angry, agitated customer and will put you ahead of those perceived as chill with the waiting. Story 153. If your underwear has seams, just wear it inside out for more comfort. Nobody is going to see your inside out underwear that's under your clothes anyway. Story 154. When you first have a baby and are new to changing a diaper, get the diaper out and opened, ready to go on the baby, along with the wipes you need ready. Less accidents this way. If you have a girl, remember to wipe front to back. Story 155. For parents, this may not be so minor. If you're afraid of potentially forgetting your baby in the car, tuck your cell phone under the carrier or leave one of your shoes in the back seat. Edit. Okay. No, I haven't ever forgotten my kids. They're 6 and 5, so obviously this is for new parents. When you find yourself completely sleep deprived, awake for 5 hours with a colicky baby, you're on autopilot. You do forget things. I left the house with 2 different shoes once, and on a different occasion, I tried to put my lunch in the paper tray of the copier. But it seems like every summer there are countless tragic news stories of parents who thought that they already had dropped off their kiddo at daycare when they actually hadn't. The reason I suggested a cell phone is because you shouldn't be texting and driving anyhow. You leave your car, you realize you don't have your cell phone. You go back to look for it, and then you remember where it is. Under the kid that you mistakenly left in the car. Story 156. I call it the Big Mac. Every day you buy a Big Mac, you take one ingredient and keep it aside. Then, by the end of the week, you have a free Big Mac. Story 157. Get a magnetic phone holder for your car. Seriously has been a game changer to me to encourage safer driving. Not really a life hack, but definitely something you should get. Story 158. If you're not really big, buy the largest size children's clothes. They are way cheaper, especially if they have a brand name. It saves a ton of money. Story 159. Hang a shoe organizer on your door and use it to store cleaning supplies, tools, whatever. Handy AF. Story 160. If you have a gas car, look at the little gas pump in the dashboard. And if the handle points to the left, the gas cap is on the left. If it points to the right, the gas cap is on the right. Story 161. When the bread spread is hard, you can put your knife in hot water for a while and then spreading it using that knife. It will be easier. Story 162. Take your razor and scrape it up and down your jeans and the blade stays sharp for months. Went from buying one every month to 2 a year. Take that big razor. Answer. Here's a hint. Clean that razor and put a tiny dab of mineral oil on it after every use. I have been using the same Gillette razor since 2005. No, not just the handle, the razor. Granted, I grew a beard 10 years ago, but I still use a razor to keep my jaw neckline clean. 4140 pH is a common razor material. Hair isn't going to dull it. Oxidation and fragmentation of the edge is what actually dulls it. Story 163. Clip a binder clip to the edge of a table and run your wires plugged into the wall through the loop to hold it in place. Story 164. Kosher your zucchini and your eggplant. Slice it and sprinkle it with salt. Let it sit for a while, and the salt will draw out some of the bitter water within, thus rinsing lots of the salt off. Drain that brine, season, and cook. I find this makes the line between juicy and mushy a lot more forgiving. Story 165. You can use hair conditioner in place of shaving cream. It usually works just as well, and might even be slightly cheaper in comparison, depending on where you buy. I haven't used real shaving cream in years now. Story 166. Never, ever, ever listen to your brain when it talks about what a failure you are at 3 a.m. Don't listen to it, and your life is going to go up by 80. Story 167. When you walk up to two people and they stop talking, do not assume they were talking about you. They may have just been discussing something that was none of your business. Also, realize that a lot of things are none of your business. Story 168. Do not smoke cigarettes or vape. Quitting is a meanie, so do not start. Put the money you would have spent on a pack a day into a savings. Someday it will be a down payment on a house, or you can retire early. Story 169. Turn on closed captioning when little kids are watching TV. Both of my daughters read at 3 years old. I realized what was happening when first child was taken to second grade classes to read to them when she was only in kindergarten. Start early. It was painless. I had a hard of hearing parent in my home. At first, I had no idea how she knew how to read, other than inheriting my massive intelligence. Lol. Wasn't me. Story 170. I found out I'm pre-diabetic, genetics. I was 5'10" and about 178 to 180 pounds. Doc said, whatever it takes for you to lose 15 pounds will sort it out. Well, I'm not going to give up my wine. So now I don't eat in the morning until I'm really noticing I'm hungry. So breakfast can be noon or 1 p.m. Lost the 15 pretty quickly, along with walking more, got a small backpack, and I can get enough groceries for me and the missus every day or two on foot. I'm a photo video guy. If I have a shoot, I'll take a couple protein bars. I really feel for people who are obese and struggling and are saying, screw this guy, 15 pounds? But for a small weight loss goal, it worked, and I'm really used to it. And studies seem to point to always feeling a little hungry as potentially life-extending in a big way. So there's that. I admit that my work is varied and challenging and interesting, so a cup of coffee and I'm lost in whatever I'm doing. If I were bored shitless in a sucky job, I'd probably weigh 300 pounds. So there's a life pro tip. Get a job you love that fascinates you and engages your mind. Story 171. I keep a plastic margarine tub near my cutting board. Put all the waste from what I'm cutting in the tub. It makes it so much easier to cook a big meal for the family. Story 172. Try your best to remember people's names after meeting them. For me, it helps if I just repeat it after they introduce themselves. It gives you a huge advantage in the social interactions, and it's impressive to the other person, since most people tend to forget them instantly. Story 173. This is one I actually got from a similar thread about 8 years ago. When you finish a shower, wipe the water off of you. Quick sweeping motions. Your arms, your legs, your stomach, as much of your back as you can reach. Squeeze the water out of your hair. Now your towel won't be soaking wet halfway through drying yourself. You'll dry quicker, get warmer faster. Overall, a simple life hack that I have been doing for the better part of a decade because of one of these exact threads. Story 174. Take an old gift card or something and wrap it in electrical tape, then stick it in your wallet somewhere. If you ever need tape, you're good. You won't have a lot of it, but you can get a decent amount on there. Story 175. If you don't have a grinder, put your bud in an empty pill container with a quarter in it. Close the lid and shake it till it's grinded. Story 176. Say, I love you and you are beautiful every day to your wife. It feels so good to hear it. It feels so good to say it. It's a win-win. Story 177. Store ground beef in gallon Ziplocs and roll them flat before freezing. Stores easier and defrosts in like 2 minutes under hot water. Story 178. Read the directions. Whether it be preparing food, finding a location, installing something, etc., read the directions. Story 179. Parchment paper and baking. When you have a recipe that requires you to use parchment paper to fit your baking pan, don't bother cutting it to size. Just crush it in your hands. It will fit great without any hustle. Story 180. If you have size 9, or maybe even 10, or smaller feet, buy kids large size socks. They fit perfectly and are cheaper. Story 181. Depressurize your yogurt by making a small incision into the lid prior to peeling the lid off. Usually the non-scooping side of the spoon works well. Revolutionary stuff. Story 182. If you want to fry some food, grab a pot and throw it on your outdoor gas grill. Less cleanup, and the high sides of the pot make for less spattering. Story 183. Get a piece of clamshell packaging, or similar thin but rigid plastic, and cut yourself a little 1-inch by 18-inch strip with a hook at one or both ends. Anytime your phone isn't hooking up to a cable or charging very well, chances are it's just gunk built up in the charging port from your pockets. You can use this little plastic hook to clear that out safely, and when you're done, put it in your case behind your phone for future use. Story 184. If you grind your own coffee and have to deal with tons of static, such as when you pour the ground coffee in to your preferred maker and flakes go everywhere, grinding the night before will allow the grounds to dissipate the static. Story 185. Remember, no one really thinks about you that much. Certainly not as much as you think about if they're thinking about you. Story 186. Stop stuff getting wet in your rucksack whenever it rains by using an appropriately sized plastic bag as a liner for your rucksack. All your items can be placed inside the plastic bag, and the top of it can be folded over. If you have side pockets, use sandwich bags as liners for them. Story 187. At night, when you are tired, go to bed on your third yawn. Sleepiness comes in waves and you'll catch a good night's sleep. Story 188. One I've picked up recently. Use cast iron. After it's seasoned properly, it's way easier to clean and provides more robust flavor. I've not used a regular pot pan since I've gotten my hands on a good few different cast iron pieces. I do realize this is old technology, but a lot of people don't think to use it. Story 189. If you have a child that just cannot settle down, bath or fresh air, this tends to work very well for adults too. Story 190. How to get boiled eggs that will peel perfectly. Shock the eggs in an ice bathe as soon as you're done boiling them. The shell practically slides off when you crack and peel it. Story 191. If you pop a pimple, apply a bit of rubbing adult beverage. It stings, of course, but it dries up the spot and leaves less marks on your face. Story 192. When you need to get rid of grease, like from frying bacon, take a sheet of aluminum foil and shape it into the inside of your sink drain. Make it like a little bowl in there. Then dump the hot grease into that bowl, wait for it to solidify, and toss the whole foil and hard grease mess into the trash. If you only have a little grease to remove, like from leaner beef, putting a paper towel in the pan will soak it up. You can also use a piece of bread to really treat your dog. The knob that allows you to raise and lower the steering wheel in most newer cars will also allow you to pull it towards you or push it away. Steering wheels are telescopic. Story 193. When parking your car, take the crappy spot far away from your destination instead of weaving through the lot looking for a close one. Just suck it up and walk the extra 100 yards. You probably need the physical exercise and reduced mental stress. Story 194. Always quickly try to open your front door after locking and leaving for your day. Sometimes we're so busy we turn the key in the opposite direction. Also, it's an audible reminder that you remembered to lock the door when you question your actions later. Story 195. Brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand for a few seconds in the morning. It will bring your brain online bright and quick. Story 196. Whenever someone hurts you, tell them right then there. Don't wait. Hold that pain. If you hurt someone, you know it. Apologize right then there. Don't wait. Story 197. Open the bag of chips. Stuff the bottom of the bag in on itself until the bag of chips is a bowl of chips. Set on table and enjoy. Story 198. Major life hack. Always do your chores and adulting on days that you work. Laundry, cleaning, paying bills, taking the car to the mechanic, shopping for groceries, mail collection, etc., etc., etc. That way your day off is a day off rather than a day of running errands and doing this and doing that. My day's off. I have nothing to do by design, not by lacking anything to do. And everybody in my family knows that when I say I am doing nothing, it means that exactly all I will do. Story 199. Never, ever use 1-800-Flowers. They skim a percentage off the top. Then the flower shop is pissed because they get less profit, so they skimp on the arrangement. When I've had relatives pass away who lived in other states, I find out where the funeral is being held. Google its location, then Google flower shops close to it. Then you can ask them which flowers they have that are the freshest. Ask for certain colors, and you can get a nice custom arrangement that's fitting for the deceased. Story 200. If you're going to do dinner and a movie for a date, make sure you see the movie first. Then you're guaranteed to have something in common you can talk about. That's it for this video. Don't forget to support Vancher and my second channel, Vanchus. See you soon.